Welcome, everyone, to the Daily Antidote of Song. I am so happy to be here today. My name is Betsy Fulford, and I am music director of Washington Revels. So I've been on here a couple times before, but I'm especially excited to be here today as part of Singing for Racial Justice Week with our special guest today, Jim Harkless. So I'm excited for what you are going to hear today and sing along with. So I'm going to start by saying hello to everyone. And I'm going to start with hello to everybody on Facebook Live. It's so great to see you all today. And of course, hi Joe and Jim, who are together in a square. Craziness. It's just something to see two people in there in the same place. Katie is our tech today. So great to have you, Katie. Welcome Arlene from California and Susan from Seattle. Great to see you. Sarah from Texas, Amanda and Miles from Michigan, and hi Ruth and Susan G, and Luda and Kathleen from Albuquerque. Hi Cheryl from the UK and Deborah in Kentucky. Phil, I know you're from somewhere in England. No, it says Wales, not England. All right, you're from Wales. Great to have you today. Hi, Keith and Christiana and Friend and Martha in Oregon, Hoda in BC. Hi, Deli and Jim. Nice to see you today. And Aloysius from Massachusetts. I've got a little thingy over your name. I see Suffolk. Someone from Suffolk. Looks like maybe Emily. But I'm sorry I didn't say your name right because something is covering it up right now. Hi, Brian and Karen from Oregon and Susan and Kate from Charlottesville and Carolyn and Goldwyn in Boise, I think, Bob in Tucson and mostly white hair Bonnie. Well, great to see you today. Simke, nice to see you, and Lynn and Cliff in Vermont, Caroline in DC, Kate in the south of France. Wow. Jamie in Victoria and Jean, in Pittsburgh, and Jaden. Nice to see you today. Steve and Michelle, Julie in Ontario, and Jim in New York City, Denise in Suffolk. Claudia, nice to see you today. And I see Nancy's cow picture, always a fun thing to see. Ralph in Victoria, Busy, nice to see you from Carpe Diem. She's masked today, keeping safe. Hi, Curly Tops down there, and Mabel with friends. I know you've got some friends. There they are in Massachusetts. Aloysius, I think I saw you before, so you must have popped out and come back in. Hi, Gary and Deli and Annette and Susan in Tacoma. Many people off camera. Nice to see you all today. Louise, Becky, Gay, James, Gary, Terry, and Alan and Pam and Robert and Fred. Thank you for all being here today. And it's a great day on the Daily Antidote of Song when we have Jim Harkless leading a song. What could be better than that for our Singing for Racial Justice Week? And I want to just remind you that Katie is often putting things in the chat for you to see. So keep an eye on the chat. I'm so happy to see that everybody's talking to each other in the chat. So hello. You might have been giving me hints, but I wasn't looking at them. I was looking at your names. So welcome to everyone. And again, welcome to Facebook Live, everybody out there. And I just want to say a quick thank you to Carpe Diem Arts and Busy Graham for supporting this wonderful project, and for Joe, who is here pretty much kind of every day making it happen. So thanks to everybody. And I'm going to go ahead and just hand things right on over to Jim Harkless, who's going to tell us what you're going to be singing today.
Hello, everyone. I'm so pleased to see all of my friends and to be able to sing for you today. I've chosen one of my favorite spirituals called Good News that I don't know how many of you know it, but some of you do know it. I I learned it when I was in college from the book of songs that Roland Hayes published in 1948 called My Songs, and it's arranged by him. And he preferred to call these songs Afro-American religious folk songs, which I think is, he was way ahead of his time uh, in his life. And he was one of the first people who referred to these songs. And this is a relatively easy song. It's good news, the chariot's coming, good news, the chariot's coming. Good news, the chariots are coming, and I don't want it to leave me behind. And the chorus goes, good news, the chariots coming, good news, the chariots are coming, good news, the chariots are coming, and I don't want it to leave me behind. Have you got that? Good news, the chariots are coming, good news, the chariots are coming, good news, the chariots are coming, and I don't want it to leave me behind. So I'm going to let you, we'll do the chorus together a couple of times, and then I'll sing a verse, and then we'll do the chorus a couple of times. I'll do a verse, chorus a couple of times, and I'll do a verse, and then we'll end. And there's a special ending that he wrote that I'll do by myself. So are you ready to go? Let's go. Good news, the chariots coming, good news, the chariots coming, good news, the chariots coming, and I don't want it to leave me behind. Good news, the chariots coming, good news, the chariots coming, good news, the chariots coming, and I don't want it to leave me behind. There's a long white robe in the heaven, I know. There's a long white robe in the heaven, I know. There's a long white robe in the heaven, I know. And I don't want it to leave me behind. Good news, the chariots are coming, good news, the chariots are coming, good news, the chariots are coming, and I don't want it to leave me behind. Good news, chariots coming, good news, chariots coming, good news, chariots coming, and I don't want it to leave me behind. There's a brand new song in the heaven, I know. There's a brand new song in the heaven, I know. There's a brand new song in the heaven, I know. And I don't want it to leave me behind. Good news, the chariots are coming, good news, the chariots are coming, good news, the chariots are coming, and I don't want it to leave me behind. Good news, chariots coming, good news, chariots coming, good news, the chariots coming, and I don't want it to leave me behind. There's a starry crown in the heaven, I know. There's a starry crown in the heaven, I know. There's a starry crown in the heaven, I know. And I don't want it to leave me behind. Good news, the chariots coming, good news, the chariots coming, good news, the chariots coming, and I don't want it to leave me behind. Good news, the chariots coming, good news, the chariots coming, good news, the chariots coming, and I don't want it to leave me behind. And I don't want it to leave me behind. And I don't want it to leave me behind.
Woo!
I,
Woo!
so good to see everybody singing, and I hope you enjoyed that. I did.
Oh my goodness, how could we not enjoy it? It was all filled with good news. So thank you, Jim. That's a fantastic song. I thought you were going to sing "Ain't It That Good News," so this was a surprise. This
People
is
know
great.
Ain't It That Good News. Yeah, right. And
So
that's a great song also.
Can you tell us any more about this song? Like when you learned it? I know you talked about the book that it came from, but how long have you
Yeah,
been
well,
singing this
when I was
song?
taking, I've always taken voice lessons from the age of 10. And uh, when I started out as a voice soprano, of course, uh, I learned semi-classical songs and some spirituals. Then when I got into college, I continued to take voice lessons. And actually, the teacher, the pianist for my teacher, was a man by the name of Reginald Boardman, who was a famous pianist, and he was the accompanist of Roland Hayes. And Roland Hayes published the book, this collection of 40 spirituals with his own arrangements, wonderful songs in this collection of about 40 songs. They're divided into four groups, and this is one of my favorites. And it he refers in the book to the Book of Kings 2, when a chariot, a chariot of fire apparently came down for Elijah and carried him up to heaven. And I think the song has, he suggests that the song has two meanings. Of course, the religious of faith that slaves had, that there would be this wonderful place in heaven at some time. And also, they equated heaven with freedom. And so it has this double meaning. And some people think that this was the kind of song that was a code song, that maybe there would be someone coming through the Underground Railroad to take them, would be there to lead them to freedom.
Excellent. Is that book still in print?
Well, I'm not sure. We'd
No?
have to look it up. I'm
Yeah, I'm
really
gonna
not.
have to do a little searching, see if that book is still available. Um, that's great. So I mentioned that other good news song. Do you know Ain't It That Good News?
Well, I'm familiar with it, but I'm not going to try to sing
All
it
right.
today.
It's a good one. Maybe
Yes, it
sometime
is.
in the future we'll have somebody come in and sing it.
Right.
Um, so Jim, thanks for that background on the song. That was really cool to hear how you sort of connected with Roland Hayes. And I know Roland Hayes has come up before in um, some of the things that we've talked about. In fact, I remember that somebody compared your singing to Roland Hayes in in this year's Christmas Revels. And did you ever study with him
Yeah,
as a
well,
teacher?
I mentioned, I think at that time, that when I was a senior in college, Reginald Boardman, I think, who was the pianist for my teacher, arranged for me to go to his home in Brookline Village, Massachusetts. I'd never heard him sing, but of course I knew of him, and he was an elegant gentleman. When I walked into his living room with the grand piano, he was formally dressed and sat down, and I sang some songs for him, and I wrote him a letter afterwards, and he responded. He actually recommended that I change teachers, and I thanked him. And then he wrote me a wonderful letter, which I still possess, and it's one of my treasures. And then I did have a chance to hear him sing at that point in his life in 1952. He was in his 70s, and he did give two concerts in Jordan Hall. There was a documentary of Marian Anderson just the other night on PBS, which is a wonderful documentary. And they mentioned that when she was, I think, only 17 years old, he had befriended her. And then she had a town hall concert in New York, I think in the early 20s, which did not get a good review. And by that time, Roland Hayes was very famous. He actually was giving concerts all over Europe, and he spent some time in London. And the National Academy of the National Association of the Advancement of Colored People in 1924 gave him their Spingarn
Hmm.
medal, and he asked to have, in the documentary, they mentioned that he asked to have Marian Anderson sing. And that was a period when she was feeling down because of her poor review, and that got her back up and started on the wonderful, fantastic career that she had. So it's a wonderful documentary.
Yeah, I'm so glad you mentioned that because I did watch it the other day. My husband and I watched it, and it was fascinating and so well done, and is just filled with Marian Anderson singing. Like they had so many different examples of her singing, from opera to spirituals, and it's just it's everybody should watch it. It's so wonderful.
Yeah, so it's so I feel very fortunate because actually I did hear her sing in concert in Detroit a couple of times when I was a teenager, and I have a her the program from one of her concerts,
Mm.
and she had started the Marian Anderson. In fact, Denise Graves, who was on the documentary, said that she got one of the Marian Anderson scholarships in the program, the first person who got the first Marian Anderson award. And I was disappointed that they didn't mention her in their documentary. Was Maddie Wilda Dobbs, and Maddie Wilda Dobbs was the first African American woman to have a full contract with the Met after Marian Anderson broke the ground in 1955. They mentioned Robert McFerrin, who had the first contract, and then that same year, and she had a wonderful one. She had one of the most beautiful coloratura voices
Mm.
of the last century. And I actually I actually studied with her in the '90s when she came back to the United States. She was a wonderful woman, and they did neglect they neglected to leave her out in that documentary.
Hmm. So, Jim, I hear that a year ago at this time you were doing something interesting. You want to talk about that?
I don't know. Someone gave.
Little bird told me.
Yes. Well, many of you will remember that just about a year ago, I got on the Daily Antidote of Song from my rehabilitation facility where I was recovering from a major physical and mental breakdown. It's just hard for me to fathom that here I am now, and I've received so much support from the Daily Antidote, the DAS friends who sent me letters, cards, and notes, and of course Susan G sent me that wonderful pot odor that with the sun and my favorite color background. I haven't mentioned that red is my favorite color, and it's just I, it picked me up so much when I moved into the place that I'm now living in, the senior facility, where uh, usually when I'm listening to the DAS, I'm participating in my bedroom, uh, and uh, and this kind of wonderful to be with Joe here in where it all happens. But that it's a very comfortable facility, and I'm just so I feel that I've been given another chance to just devoted most of my life to or a good deal of my life to being an arbitrator. And of course, I sang all the time, but it wasn't the major part of my life. Uh, but now I want to do more and more singing and to spread the love. Love is what it's all about.
Yeah. Well, you do it well. And the love you give is the love you get back, and it just goes around and around in this room. So thank you for sharing that from a year ago. I think you're looking great and you're sounding great. So
Well, thank you.
let's hear a reprise of the song.
All right. I, I, I said before that I don't like to single out people, but I have to. I can't resist singling out my buddy Miles, and I understand that he from his mom that many times during the Daily Antidote of Song he's on his piano behind playing along. But I'm glad to see him in the square with his mom today. So let's go back and good news, the chariot's coming, good news, the chariot's coming, good news, the chariot's coming, and I don't want to leave him behind. Good news, the chariot's coming, good news, the chariot's coming, good news. The chariot's coming, and I don't want it to leave me behind. There's a long white robe in the heaven, I know. There's a long white robe in the heaven, I know. There's a long white robe in the heaven, I know, and I don't want it to leave me behind. Good news, the chariot's coming, good news, the chariot coming, good news, the chariot's coming, and I don't want it to leave me behind. Good news, it's coming, good news, the chariot's coming, good news, the chariot's coming, and I don't want it to leave me behind. There's a brand new song in the heaven, I know. There's a brand new song in the heaven, I know. There's a brand new song in the heaven, I know. And I don't want it to leave me behind. Good news, the chariot's coming, good news, the chariot's coming, good news, the chariot's coming, and I don't want it to leave me behind. Good news, the chariot's coming, good news, the chariot's coming, good news, the chariot's coming, and I don't want it to leave me behind. There's a brand new song in the heaven, I know. There's a brand new song in the heaven, I know. There's a new song in the heaven, I know. And I don't want it to leave me behind. Last time, good news, the chariot's coming, good news, the chariot's coming, good news. The chariot's coming, and I don't want it to leave me behind. Good news, the chariot's coming, good news. The chariot's coming, good news. The chariot's coming, and I don't want it to leave me behind. And I don't want it to leave me behind. And I don't want it to leave me behind.
Woo!
Thank you, Jim. That was fantastic. Nothing like singing a good song twice to really lift your spirits in the middle of a day. So thank you so much. I'm going to hand things over to Joe because I actually have to go. But it's so great to see everybody today. And I'm sorry I can't stay and do the goodbyes, but Joe does them so much better than I do. So you will enjoy them very much. And thank you, Jim.
Yeah, thank you, Betsy.
It's a pleasure to hear you today.
Thank you, Betsy Fulford. That was totally beautiful and posh and bother that I do the goodbyes any better than you do. And if you're lucky, Betsy, someday I'll invite you here in the room where it happens. Haha. So everybody, I hope you got that little reference. Jim, you almost said it verbatim during your thing. Thank you so much again, Betsy. Jim, you're amazing and I love you. And thank you everybody out there on Facebook Live for being with us today. We're glad you joined us and hope you'll join us again tomorrow for more great singing.